On August 12, 2019, just 2 days after Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell, the FBI raided Little St. James Island. The island, which the billionaire had used for disturbing activities, was turned upside down by federal agents, and some rare photographs have since appeared online that may shock you. Let's find out what the federal agents discovered. The FBI raid. In a stunning turn of events, the FBI raided Jeffrey Epstein's private island, known as Little St. James, in the Caribbean Sea. This raid took place just 2 days after Epstein's mysterious death in his cell at a New York prison, where he was being held on charges of child sex trafficking. FBI agents arrived on the island armed with a mission to uncover any evidence that could shed light on Epstein's alleged crimes. As the agents stepped onto the shores of the island, they were gripped by a sense of anticipation and curiosity. Little did they know what they would discover in the depths of Epstein's private paradise. The raid was part of a search directed by the Epstein Task Force, led by the Office of the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. This team was determined to leave no stone unturned in their pursuit of justice. Equipped with the latest technology and expertise, the agents meticulously searched Epstein's vast estate. They examined every corner, looking for any evidence that could shed light on the alleged sex trafficking network that Epstein was said to have operated for years. The stakes were high, and the agents were fully aware of the importance of their mission. Drone footage reviewed by news agencies gives a sense of the intensity of the raid. Cameras captured agents carefully packaging and labeling at least 2 desktop computers and 1 Apple computer for seizure. These electronic devices held the potential to unlock the secrets of Epstein's dark empire. The goal of the FBI investigation was to extract every bit of information from these computers, in the hope of uncovering the truth and delivering justice to the victims. The raid on Little St. James Island was not merely a symbolic gesture. It was a tangible step toward dismantling the network that allegedly preyed on vulnerable young girls. The agents understood the weight of their responsibility and the impact of their actions on the lives of countless victims. The timing of the raid was significant. It occurred just days after Epstein's mysterious death in his cell. The circumstances surrounding his passing raised many questions and suspicions. Prosecutors expressed their frustration that Epstein would never face them in court, robbing them of the opportunity for closure. However, the raid on his island served as a ray of hope, a sign that the investigation would continue, and that justice would prevail. FBI agents meticulously documented every piece of evidence discovered. They knew their findings would be critical to building a solid case against any potential accomplices. The investigation aimed to uncover the full extent of Epstein's alleged crimes and hold all those involved accountable. When the agents concluded their search, they left no doubt that their mission was far from over. The raid on Little St. James was only the beginning. The evidence seized during the operation would be thoroughly analyzed, and every lead would be relentlessly pursued. The victims deserved nothing less than a thorough investigation and the assurance that their voices would be heard. In the aftermath of the raid, Attorney General William Barr addressed the public, stating that the investigation into Epstein's alleged activities would continue. He made it clear that any accomplices should not feel safe, and that the victims would finally receive the justice they deserved. Any accomplices should not rest easy. The victims deserve justice, and they will get it, the Attorney General told the press. The FBI raid on Epstein's island was a powerful statement, a testament to law enforcement's unwavering commitment to uncovering the truth. What did the feds find on the computers? So what exactly did the federal agents find on the computers seized from the island? In 2021, the world saw several rare photographs that federal agents obtained following the raid. From the infamous Lolita Express to luxury yachts and private islands, these never-before-seen evidentiary photos reveal the dark power dynamics and lavish lifestyle of Epstein and his associates. A treasure trove of never-before-seen photographs showing Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell as a couple was revealed, providing an extraordinary glimpse into the close relationship between the pair, who flaunted their luxurious lifestyle. These striking photographs were presented as evidence at Maxwell's sex trafficking trial in 2021. They showed the British socialite massaging Epstein's feet aboard the Lolita Express, Maxwell kissing the pedophile on the cheek while embracing him, and another photo of her riding on the back of a motorcycle. The images were obtained during the FBI raid on Epstein's Manhattan mansion in 2019, and provide a graphic depiction of their high-flying lifestyle, which included trips to exotic locations on helicopters and private jets. One photograph shows Maxwell sunbathing on a yacht, while several others show them relaxing in Europe, gazing lovingly at each other. Maxwell and Epstein were even photographed relaxing in the Queen's Bothy at Balmoral, Scotland, after reportedly being invited by Prince Andrew in 1999. Remarkably, this was not the first time Epstein's property had been searched by federal agents. Video footage from one of his homes during a police raid emerged, and it was everything one might expect from such a twisted mind. Video filmed during a raid on one of his properties in 2005 provides a disturbing glimpse into Epstein's perverted mind and the troubling atmosphere he created within his luxurious residence. The scenes of the expansive 9-bedroom mansion were decorated with dozens of photographs that explicitly displayed the millionaire financier's illegal preferences, specifically his fixation on the buttocks of young girls. As authorities surveyed the luxurious dwelling, they came upon a grim sight: dozens of photographs of naked girls displayed prominently throughout the home. These explicit images served as a chilling reminder of the alleged human trafficking and sexual abuse that took place behind those walls. One photograph depicted a girl who appeared to be around 6 years old, bent over in a tiny dress with her back exposed. The image was considered so explicit that authorities blurred it in the footage. Another showed a dark-haired girl who appeared to be around 15 years old, posing in a tiny black bikini on a wall directly above a completely naked girl lying on a beach. Several photographs depicted Epstein's then-girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, including one where she too was sprawled naked on a beach. In one of the bathrooms, there was a chair next to a fully equipped dental cart, which appeared to contain drills, a lamp, and other instruments. In another room, a black and white portrait of Maxwell hung above a toilet, across from a photograph of a young naked girl standing with her back to the camera, running her hands through her hair. On another wall hung a crudely drawn picture depicting an infant and a skull, with quotes attributed to Ralph Waldo Emerson: "A friend may well be reckoned the masterpiece of nature," and to Mr. Spock from Star Trek, "Live long and prosper." But the shocking discoveries did not end there. As the camera panned around the room, it revealed a collection of strange and disturbing artwork. One particular piece caught everyone's attention: a photograph of Epstein himself, apparently standing at a White House press conference podium. This image served as a grim reminder of his connections to powerful individuals and the extent of his influence. Despite all of this, Ghislaine Maxwell ended up in handcuffs and will spend many years behind bars. Maxwell's role. As it turned out, Maxwell's involvement in Epstein's abuse network began as early as 1994, when she began helping him identify and recruit young girls who were particularly vulnerable. These victims were often from single-mother households and faced difficult financial circumstances, making them easy targets for manipulation and coercion. Once Maxwell and Epstein identified their victims, they embarked on a systematic process of grooming and exploitation. Maxwell would approach these young girls, pretending to be a friend and showing keen interest in their lives. She would ask them about their schools, families, and dreams, creating a false sense of trust and connection. To further ingratiate herself with the victims, Maxwell would take them on outings, such as trips to the movies or shopping. These activities served to normalize her presence in their lives and make them feel comfortable in her company. Few knew that Maxwell's intentions were far from innocent. As the grooming process progressed, Maxwell played a key role in desensitizing the victims to Epstein's abuse. She was present during the girls' interactions with Epstein, providing a false sense of approval and normalcy. Having an adult woman seemingly endorsing Epstein's actions, Maxwell effectively reassured the victims and made them believe that their abuse was acceptable. In some instances, Maxwell went even further, actively participating in the sexual abuse of these young girls. She would undress in front of them, discuss sexual topics, and encourage them to massage Epstein. These actions were aimed at desensitizing the victims to the sexual nature of the abuse and further cementing their dependence on Maxwell and Epstein. Maxwell's manipulation extended beyond the immediate acts of abuse. She would often offer victims financial assistance or educational opportunities, creating a sense of obligation and dependency. By accepting these favors, the victims felt compelled to remain within Maxwell and Epstein's orbit, thereby perpetuating the cycle of abuse. To facilitate the abuse, Maxwell and Epstein lured victims into traveling to various Epstein residences located in different states across the United States. Maxwell was fully aware that these trips would result in the victims being groomed and sexually abused. She actively participated in planning and coordinating these trips, ensuring that Epstein maintained control over the victims. The abuse took various forms, from sexualized massages to more explicit acts. Victims were subjected to touching of their breasts or genitals, the use of sex toys on their bodies, and were even forced to touch Epstein while he masturbated. Maxwell was frequently present during these encounters, further traumatizing the victims and reinforcing their sense of helplessness. The sites of abuse were not limited to Epstein's residences in New York, Florida, and New Mexico. Maxwell's own residence in London, England, also served as a location where victims were groomed and abused. This international dimension of the crimes underscores the scale of Maxwell and Epstein's network and their willingness to exploit vulnerable individuals wherever they happen to be. Throughout this period, Maxwell and Epstein operated in two distinct phases. In the earlier phase, from approximately 1994 to 2001, they targeted and groomed one girl at a time. This method allowed them to focus their attention on each victim individually, ensuring complete control and manipulation. In the later phase, from approximately 2001 to 2004, Maxwell and Epstein changed their approach. They began luring and recruiting multiple underage girls to visit Epstein's Palm Beach residence, where they engaged in sexual activity with him. After these encounters, Epstein, Maxwell, or another Epstein employee would give the victims hundreds of dollars in cash, further reinforcing their dependence on their abusers. To ensure a steady stream of victims, Maxwell and Epstein also resorted to paying some victims to recruit additional girls. This disturbing method allowed them to build a network of underage victims, ensuring a continuous supply of individuals to exploit. The details of Maxwell's involvement in Epstein's abuse network are staggering. Her active role in grooming and exploiting vulnerable young girls demonstrates a complete disregard for their well-being and a cruelty that is difficult to comprehend. Ghislaine Maxwell's sentencing to 20 years in prison represents a significant step toward holding her accountable for the heinous crimes committed alongside Epstein. The mystery of Jeffrey Epstein. Much about Epstein's life is truly mysterious. From his life to his very manner of death, he has successfully spawned numerous conspiracy theories. Some say he worked for Israeli intelligence agencies, while others firmly believe he faked his own death to escape imprisonment. Such is the mysterious life of Epstein. In the 1950s, young Jeffrey Epstein was born into a middle-class family in Brooklyn, New York. Few could have imagined that this seemingly ordinary boy would grow up to become one of the most notorious figures in modern history. Epstein's journey from humble beginnings to the pinnacle of wealth and power is a convoluted story that begins with his early days as a successful businessman. In his youth, Epstein showed signs of exceptional intelligence and ambition. Dropping out of college in the 1970s, he began a career as a mathematics teacher at the prestigious Dalton School in Manhattan. In the 1980s, Epstein's path crossed that of a wealthy businessman named Stephen Hoffenberg. Hoffenberg, impressed by Epstein's intellect and potential, hired him as a consultant for Tower Financial Corporation. This marked the beginning of Epstein's ascent into the world of high finance and the start of a partnership that would define his future. With his sharp financial mind, Epstein quickly rose through the ranks at Tower Financial, establishing himself as a rising star in the industry. His connections and ability to navigate the complex world of finance soon attracted the attention of influential people who saw him as a valuable asset. Epstein's rise to prominence was not without controversy. In the 1990s, Tower Financial came under scrutiny for its involvement in a massive Ponzi scheme orchestrated by Hoffenberg. Although Epstein himself was not directly implicated in the scheme, his association with Hoffenberg raised questions and cast a shadow over his reputation. Despite the scandal, Epstein managed to distance himself from the fallout and continued building his own empire. He founded his own financial management firm, J. Epstein & Amp Company, which served an exclusively select group of ultra-wealthy clients. It was through this venture that Epstein amassed his vast fortune and gained access to the upper echelons of society. Epstein's charm and intellect became his greatest assets as he cultivated relationships with influential figures from the worlds of politics, business, and entertainment. His connections opened doors to exclusive social circles and granted him a level of access and influence that many could only dream of. As Epstein's wealth and influence grew, so did his appetite for a lavish lifestyle. He acquired multiple properties, including a luxury estate in Palm Beach, Florida, which would later become the epicenter of his criminal activity. It was around this time that Epstein's dark side began to emerge. He used his wealth and connections to exploit vulnerable young girls, drawing them into his web of manipulation and abuse. Epstein's Palm Beach mansion became a house of horrors where innocent lives were destroyed while the rich and powerful turned a blind eye. The early years of Epstein's rise to power set the stage for the unimaginable crimes that would later come to light. His intellect, charm, and ability to move through the corridors of power allowed him to operate with impunity, shielded by a network of influential individuals who were complicit in his actions. The first accusations. In March 2005, the first accusations of sexual abuse against Jeffrey Epstein came to light when a 14-year-old girl bravely came forward, accusing him of raping her at his Palm Beach, Florida home. She alleged that Epstein had paid her for a massage that quickly escalated into sexual abuse. This courageous act set in motion a chain of events that would eventually expose the dark side of Epstein's world. According to reports, the young girl claimed she had been brought to Epstein's mansion by a high school acquaintance from Royal Palm Beach. In exchange for money, she was made to give Epstein a massage, which quickly turned into a horrifying nightmare of sexual abuse. The Palm Beach Police Department launched an investigation into Epstein's activities, uncovering a troubling pattern of behavior. It became clear that Epstein had a well-oiled system for luring young girls for his sexual gratification. Epstein's Palm Beach mansion had become a house of horrors for many underage girls, who were drawn into his web of manipulation and exploitation, often under the guise of financial assistance or career opportunities. As more victims came forward, Epstein's modus operandi became increasingly clear. Some victims alleged that Epstein's close associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, played a significant role in recruiting and grooming young girls for his pleasure. Epstein's heavyweight legal team, which included Alan Dershowitz, worked hard to undermine the credibility of the victims' testimonies. They sought to dig up dirt on the girls, attempting to tarnish their reputations and discredit their allegations. Despite the obstacles, the courage and determination of the victims led to a grand jury investigation. In May 2006, Epstein was charged with several counts of unlawful sexual conduct with a minor. The case was referred to the then-sitting state attorney Barry Krischer, who presented evidence to the grand jury. However, the grand jury heard testimony from only 2 of the more than a dozen girls that law enforcement had gathered as witnesses. In a shocking turn of events, the grand jury returned an indictment on only a single count of solicitation of prostitution. This lenient charge did not reflect the full gravity of Epstein's crimes. Epstein's legal team, led by renowned attorney Alan Dershowitz, negotiated a plea deal with Alex Acosta, then the U.S. Attorney in Miami. This deal would become the subject of fierce criticism in the years that followed. In October 2007, Epstein and Acosta tentatively agreed to a plea deal that would allow Epstein to plead guilty to 2 state prostitution-related charges. The victims were not notified of this agreement, and all grand jury subpoenas were voided. The non-prosecution agreement, negotiated, signed, and sealed in secrecy, effectively shielded Epstein from federal charges and ensured that the full extent of his crimes remained hidden from public view. On June 30, 2008, Epstein appeared in Palm Beach County Court to plead guilty to the reduced charges. None of his accusers were present at the hearing, depriving them of the opportunity to confront their abuser face to face. Epstein was sentenced to just 18 months in prison. He served his sentence in a private wing of the Palm Beach County Jail and was permitted to leave the facility 6 days a week for up to 12 hours a day to attend work. Around the same time, Epstein began settling at least a dozen other civil lawsuits out of court, further silencing his victims and preventing their stories from coming to light. The secret deal and lenient sentence provoked outrage and raised questions about how the justice system had handled the Epstein case. Intelligence connections. It was around this time that rumors began to circulate about Epstein's connections to intelligence agencies. Some suggested that his lenient sentence was the result of his cooperation with intelligence services, specifically the Mossad. The Mossad, known for its intelligence gathering and covert operations, seemed like a plausible link to Epstein's mysterious activities. Epstein's connections extended beyond individuals to his various properties, which were reportedly equipped with sophisticated surveillance systems. These systems allegedly captured compromising material on powerful figures who visited Epstein's residences, providing him with potential leverage. If this information is accurate, it supports the theory that Epstein operated as an intelligence agent, collecting information for the Mossad. To understand the alleged connection, one must examine Epstein's relationship with key individuals who have ties to both him and the Mossad. One such person is Ghislaine Maxwell, daughter of British media mogul Robert Maxwell. As we have seen, Ghislaine appeared to have a very close and almost romantic relationship with Epstein. Her father, Robert Maxwell, was suspected of having ties to intelligence agencies, including the Mossad. The Foreign Office suspected that Maxwell was a secret agent of a foreign government, possibly a double or even triple agent, and almost certainly financed by Russia. He had known connections to the British Secret Intelligence Service MI6, to the Soviet KGB, and to the Israeli intelligence service Mossad. At Robert Maxwell's funeral in Israel, 6 current and former heads of Israeli intelligence services were in attendance, while Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir delivered the eulogy, demonstrating the vast reach of his network. Epstein's second arrest and death. In July 2019, the world was shocked when Jeffrey Epstein was arrested again, this time on federal charges of sex trafficking. The arrest came after years of accusations and legal proceedings related to his involvement in trafficking underage girls. Epstein's connections to powerful figures and his lavish lifestyle had long generated rumors and whispers, but now the truth was finally beginning to catch up with him. As news of Epstein's arrest spread, so did speculation about the extent of his crimes and the identities of those involved. It was claimed that Epstein had an extensive network of influential individuals who were complicit in his illegal activities. The world held its breath, waiting to see whether Epstein would name names and expose the dark side of the elite. However, before Epstein could reveal any secrets, his life took a shocking and unexpected turn. On August 10, 2019, he was found unresponsive in his cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York. The official verdict was suicide by hanging, but this conclusion was met with skepticism and disbelief. Almost immediately, conspiracy theories began to circulate, suggesting that Epstein's death was not a suicide, but rather a carefully orchestrated murder. The circumstances surrounding his death only added fuel to the fire. Questions arose about violations of prison procedures, malfunctioning cameras, and the suspicious behavior of the guards on duty. One of the key factors that raised suspicions was the apparent violations of prison protocol. Epstein was supposed to be under constant observation, yet reports emerged that the guards on duty had not conducted regular checks and had falsified records to conceal their negligence. This discovery only heightened suspicions that foul play may have been involved. The story took an even darker turn when it became known that Epstein had made a previous suicide attempt. On July 25, 2019, Epstein had been found semi-conscious in his prison cell with injuries to his neck. This incident raised concerns about his well-being and led to him being placed on suicide watch. As investigations progressed, further details emerged that added to the intrigue. It was revealed that Epstein had been taken off suicide watch just days before his death, despite the previous incident that had raised concerns about his well-being. This decision prompted questions about the judgment of those responsible for his care, and whether it was a deliberate move to create an opportunity for him to take his own life. Adding to the mystery, the cameras in the area surrounding Epstein's cell malfunctioned. These cameras, which should have captured key moments preceding his death, conveniently failed, leaving a gap in the visual evidence. This raised questions about whether the malfunction was a simple coincidence or a deliberate attempt to conceal the truth. Proponents of the murder theory pointed to Epstein's alleged possession of compromising information on powerful figures. They believed he had been silenced to prevent him from testifying and exposing the dark secrets of the elite. The idea that Epstein's death was part of a larger conspiracy sent shockwaves through the public and fueled a storm of speculation. As the debate surrounding Epstein continues, the world can only hope that the wealthy and powerful individuals who were part of Epstein's circle of abusers will face the full force of the law.